episode of She Decides, host Staci Swiderski sits down with Dr. Pamela Johnson, veterinarian, leadership coach, and founder of Veterinary Masterminds, a company redefining the relationship between pet owners and veterinary professionals through collaboration, compassion, and education. With over 30 years of experience in veterinary medicine, Dr. Johnson shares powerful lessons from her journey as a leader, entrepreneur, and lifelong advocate for animals and people alike. From building an award-winning AAHA accredited hospital to tackling the challenges of communication gaps, burnout, and emotional resilience, her message is one of heart-centered leadership and service. Together, Staci and Dr. Johnson explore what it means to lead with empathy, balance purpose with passion, and build trust, whether in the exam room, the boardroom, or in life. Because when she decides to lead with heart, she transforms every life she touches.
You know who made it. Welcome everybody to our next podcast. I am your host, Staci Swiderski, and we have the lovely Dr. Pamela Johnson, who is a veterinarian of more than 3 decades and has built an amazing practice. And this is going to be such a wonderful episode to learn so much from you. And I believe many of your patients / clients call you Dr. Pam, correct?
They do.
All right.
It's kind of all over the map, but yes, that's great.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm respecting your title, Dr. Pam, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Pamela Johnson, but we are here to learn from you today. So thank you so much for joining us and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So let's jump right in. And if you don't mind sharing exactly, my goodness, 30 years of just awesome success and your love for animals and where you're at today. So I will start with a really easy, quick question. What has brought you to being a veterinarian? And obviously the love for animals, but let's start there. Let's start real simple.
It's not, that's funny because it's not that simple.
That's even better. That's a better, juicier story.
I always had a passion for animals, wildlife, nature. It's interesting because but it was a bit of a circuitous route. So I was also a basketball player. And when I played basketball in college, and at the time, I didn't think I had the confidence or the intellect to even do the undergrad that I needed to do, the sciences and that kind of stuff. And so
that's pretty tough. It's very challenging.
I backed out. And so I changed my major to mass communications, which is kind of comical right now. But seem like I'm coming full circle here. And so I worked once I graduated from college, I worked for a couple of years, kind of floundered around, and I ended up going back to my true love, which is veterinary medicine. And that required me to get 2 additional years of undergraduate, the sciences, the physics, the chemistries, and things like that.
So you had to do them anyways, right?
I did, and applied to one school, and I put all my eggs in one basket, and I was blessed to get accepted to vet school at Auburn University, and the rest is kind of history. And so that was kind of my second career, if you will.
I bet.
But once I made that decision, Staci, it was a tough decision to go back to school, but once I did, have you ever felt like there was this instant, like this burden lifted, right?
It's like a calling. Mm-hmm.
It is.
You're like, this is what I was meant to do.
Yeah. And so I never looked back. I can honestly say that during my career, where in which I own my practice, ultimately, I never ever can pick a day where I wasn't thrilled to go to work.
Oh, I love
And
that.
I want that so much for every young person to feel that way about their career, whatever their career path
It's like
is.
you hit the jackpot in your
Yeah.
career, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so you listen to your gut and you're like, this is what I am meant to do. So let's go back a little bit. You had mentioned you had played basketball in college. So did you play all 4 years of basketball in college?
I
Basketball?
did.
Oh, wow. So yeah,
I
I mean,
did.
definitely as a full-time student in a sport that obviously we know how that my son plays baseball in college, and I just know it is just it's like a full-time job in itself, right? To play a sport. So I can
Yeah.
imagine for you like taking these classes during that time of, obviously playing basketball and your obviously the studies. I get it. That had to be so difficult. So difficult.
Your son can probably relate. There's pros and cons because it is more of a demand because usually you're practicing a couple of times a day or you're working out, you're cross training,
Yeah.
things like that. But it requires additional focus, right? As well, more so than the average college student. And so I think it's good training for life too.
It definitely discipline it. It definitely
Yeah.
treats, yeah, you have to have discipline.
My childhood, it was kind of interesting in how it led me down that path because I have three brothers, two older, one younger, and my mother unfortunately passed away in an accident when I was quite young,
Oh my goodness.
and
I'm so
but
sorry.
that led to this wonderful relationship with all men primarily. So we were very, very competitive family. And so it was one of those things that just sort of naturally led into playing sports. And so that just as
You
just
got to
as an
be as tough as
aside.
those boys, right?
Yes, yes. I tell them that now.
Right, right, right. I love it. I love it. I mean, but look where it's gotten you, right? I mean, clearly, obviously through college playing, obviously very competitive basketball, and then you have gone back and you have fulfilled your dreams of your true profession, and it's incredible. Yeah, your successes are. So let's jump into that. Really, your veterinarian hospital. I mean, you've been in this profession for now over 30 years. Wow. That's
Yes,
that's
yes.
amazing.
I I sold my practice in my brick and mortar in 2020, and I just felt like I had reached sort of the pinnacle. I had a wonderful team. They were fully empowered. The practice was thriving, and I wasn't feeling challenged anymore. You
Why
go
did
from
you feel, where was the lack of the challenge, especially in such an active, you're a very successful company. Where were you lacking that challenge? Because I would think, my goodness, like that is so much, but you are still wanting more and more and more.
that's a really good question. I appreciate you asking that because it was intriguing for me to kind of have this feeling of that I felt like I wasn't being challenged anymore, right? I had
Mhm.
after a certain amount of time, when you graduate, you think you're going to be a doctor, right? You think you're going
Yeah.
to save lives and just work as a doctor, and then you find out, oh my gosh, I'm managing people, I'm leading people.
Yeah,
I
especially when you own your own practice. Like it's more than just being, the veterinarian. You have a lot on your plate.
Yes, and you get to a point where when you empower people and watch them grow, there's nothing more satisfying than that. And
Agreed.
the practice itself, as I mentioned, was really thriving. And I just thought, okay, I'm a person of faith, and I felt like God was telling me there's something more. There's something more for you to be doing. And and then I said to my husband, I think I need a bigger stage, which is interesting because
I love that.
I'm an introvert
Okay.
by
Yeah.
nature.
So you're
And
definitely
so,
stepping out of your comfort zone here then.
yes, definitely. And I just kept getting phone calls, people reaching out to me saying, I need to understand my options as a pet owner, or veterinarians would reach out to me for coaching and mentoring. And particularly the pet owner, there were just so many people would come out of their visit with more questions than when they went in.
Wanted to pick your brain
And
is what, yeah.
so that's what led me to where I am now, which is developing an online education platform for pet owners. And we just recently relaunched as Pet Lovers United, and because we did interviews, and people really wanted us to focus on how can we help bridge the gap between the veterinarian and the pet owner, because there seems like there's this it's a combination of, what do I wish you knew as a pet owner before you ever came into my door, and how much that might help the conversation,
yeah.
the relationship, the collaboration. So that's sort of how I got where I am
Where
right
you are
now.
today. So you are
Yeah.
in definitely more of a educational role and educating pet owners, but you also, how often do you also work with fellow veterinarians who they also want to be educated and, learn from you as well?
I've mentored everything from high school students to pre-vet students to vet students to veterinarians over time, and that gives me great joy. I want them to feel the passion that I feel for their entire career. And I'll mention this because I think it's kind of important for your listeners, that the burnout rate in my profession is very high, because there's a lot of emotional fatigue, there's burnout, that kind of stuff. And so it's how do we get it so that people can feel as passionate as I did and do about that profession for their entire career.
Well, that was actually one of my questions for you that I had was, how do you help professionals really manage compassion, the fatigue that can happen, and stay emotionally really resilient, in such a demanding field. I mean, it's so demanding, and yet, and then you have this strong compassion for, obviously just animals in general, and the burnout I can imagine, because you want to help everybody. And there's only so many hours in the day.
I think that's a much longer conversation. But what
I was going to say, there's probably not one little piece of advice. There's probably a lot to it.
I think one of the things is giving yourself permission to be vulnerable, right? To allow yourself to feel and show those feelings in front of clients, and not trying to.
Such great advice. Yes.
Not trying to pretend. And it's for me, that was one of the breakthroughs that I went through as a young veterinarian, where I felt like, you go from one room where you're having to say goodbye to someone's pet, to the next room maybe being a kitten or a puppy.
Yeah.
And they're so excited and happy. And I think that there's a balance between just communicating, and there's compassion that goes both ways then, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think that's a part of the beautiful aspect of veterinary medicine, is the relationships that you have with not just the pets, but with the clients.
Right. Absolutely. I just can imagine, because you're going in and it's very fast paced, right? So it's like from one room to the next, and really, like you said, letting yourself be human for a moment and being able to take it in. Yeah. I think that definitely will, at the end of the day, to really just keep things in a compartment where it's like, wow, like I felt that today and it was tough, but it going into obviously your career, that like that attachment to animals that's why you're the best of the best, right?
I don't know that I'm the best of the best. Are you talking
Oh,
about?
I don't know. I think you've got quite a large, success rate there going on, and also the leadership aspect of it, and that's something I definitely want to talk more about too.
That is one of my passions is leadership and empowerment as
So let's
well.
go back to then 2020 when you did sell your practice, and is
Okay.
that now have you been since then? I mean, and that was a tough time. That was like in the heart of COVID as well. So that's interesting. Um,
For what's funny about that is we did exceptionally well during COVID. And I think it's because we were just focused on the relationships. We were focused on the people, and we did not allow that to get in the way of the
yeah,
relationships. And it was funny because it was, you could very easily have, sort of given up and left feeling more frustrated. We took it as a challenge. Okay, how do we maintain and develop relationships when we can't, at least initially, be face to face with one
right.
another? And so we took that as a challenge, and where we either did it by phone or we did it by Zoom, FaceTime, whatever we could.
You made it
And
work.
then ultimately we did it, curbside, where we would go out and make sure that we were maintaining that communication face to face, heart to heart, person to person, so that we didn't lose that connection, if you will. So
Yeah.
it was more of the process of selling was kind of already in process for us. And so it just sort of happened that way, because I had done research probably 3 years prior to, looking into how and who I was going to sell to.
Of
And
course. Yeah.
so that was just sort of it just ended up being a coincidence.
That was just a timing thing, right?
It
but
was.
you, yeah. And I love the fact that you made the situation that was pretty tough and, throughout the world, and you really turned it around and you took that challenge and you made it work. So that's,
My team
yeah.
had a
Yeah.
big part in that. I
Yeah.
couldn't have done it without them.
Well, and that takes me back to also like the leadership, right? I mean, you have an amazing team. You had an amazing team, and they had a great leader. And so without that great leader, they couldn't do great things either. So, I mean, it was a win-win for sure. Um, so let's talk more about the veterinary, the masterminds. And, obviously we talked about, your calling for really wanting to also lead people. And clearly that's the impact, right? That has really pushed you to there. But what has made you the most proud so far since you've turned that leaf, and then you haven't, and you're doing more of the leadership, and you're using this platform?
I think that there's probably a couple of different answers to that, but I think that
We're here for them.
for me, there was a lot of anxiety about leaving a very successful career to do something that is really quite different than what I did in the past. And I jokingly call it identity flexibility, because I had to sort of figure out, okay,
You had to
how do
pivot a
we,
little bit.
yes, how do we pivot? How do we educate a broader group of people, not just nationally but internationally? And how do we bridge that gap? And that requires you already know that, but there's this is a whole new world for me. And even though I graduated in mass communications, it's nothing like it was when I
Oh,
went through
yeah.
school. And
Nowadays, the
so,
technology and everything, totally different world, right?
oh my gosh, learning about, website development and direct marketing and online, digital space, AI,
Oh
they're
gosh, AI that's just it's just a crazy thing that like, wow, that we're all learning together, I think, right?
yes. And so I think that getting our new website, which is petlovers-united.com, launched about a month ago, actually, was a proud moment for
Oh, I
sure.
bet.
And
Congratulations on that.
then making some of the connections that we're making nationally as well as internationally, and meeting, one of the things, you've heard this 1,000 times, but you are the sum of the top five or six people that you
That
associate
you
with.
surround yourself with, yes.
And what my husband and I are finding is that this platform is exposing us to some incredible people that we never would have met.
Yeah.
It's like sitting here talking to you right now. And I just admire, what you've been able to do. And
Thank
I
you.
aspired to that, right?
Well, thank you. That is so, wow. Well, that means a lot coming from somebody as amazing and as successful as you are. So thank you for that.
No, I mean it. I think what you're doing is fantastic, and the way you're trying to promote, particularly women, successful business women, and promote, and that says a lot about you as a person.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. And, really, obviously the whole meaning behind what we do is just that, right? Is to, if we can positively, reach out to one, even if it's one person, right? And
Yeah.
it helps them grow into the best person that they can possibly
Yeah.
be. And they can also, accomplish their goals in life. And hearing it from, obviously successful and amazing, strong women like yourself, then, we've done our job. And I just think there's so much, women really compete against one another. And I want to really flip the script on that, and where we can
Yeah.
really support one another. And yes, life is a competition. We want to, obviously it comes with, you want to be successful in whatever it is that you want to do. And you're always going to have competition, but there's enough space for everybody. And just do what you're what you're really good at, right? What you're good at, what your passion is, and what drives you every day, and just uplift one another. And so, but yeah, I really appreciate you saying that, and being able to use this platform to, for the better, and to hopefully bring more women together and support one another. I think it's amazing. And so, women like yourself, it's that you have a platform for others to, really look up to. And that is something that, we certainly don't take lightly. And you've worked hard to accomplish, all of your accomplishments. So that's why we just want to give you this platform and share those stories. And it's not all good, right? There's a lot of, it's hard. It's hard,
Yeah.
but man, when you work at it every day, and it's something that, like you said, is your calling, you can't imagine doing anything different.
No, and that's you just make a very good point. I mentioned before, the burnout rate is so high in our community, and sadly, we have the highest suicide rate in every as of every profession.
Wow.
And
I never
so
knew that. I did not know that. Wow.
I think that if we can help other people, and this is now primarily I would say probably 60 to 70% of people in the veterinary profession are now women. And if we can help them sort of get their passion back, ultimately what I'd like to do is even hire veterinarians that maybe didn't like practice, but like education, and still love the profession and want to find another way to help pet owners. So as we continue to grow, that's going to be one of our future aspirations over the coming months.
I think that's a great outlet for sure to have as part of the team, because obviously we're not all amazing and perfect at everything, but there's typically, when you bring on somebody who really, that is their strong skill set, and they love it, but yes, they're educated with, being, the vet practice and the veterinarian world. But yeah, that's, you, success really is, it's so interesting because yes, you can be successful by yourself, but like, to bring back what you shared before is you, when you're surrounding yourself around these people that are in your inner circle and you're plugging in all of their expertises, their pieces, like how amazing. I mean, you can just blow things out of the sky and just do amazing, amazing work. And so I think the fact that you just mentioned what you mentioned about somebody who, definitely likes the educational piece of it, or even the technology piece, or whatever it is, or both combined.
Yeah.
The amazing outreach that you can do. Wow, that you're not already doing, you can do that times 100. I mean, how amazing.
Right? If
Yeah.
our goal is to have everything from specialists in orthopedics, ophthalmology, dermatology, the behavior, and have, guest speakers come in and really truly bridge that gap between the
Sure. Yeah,
the
bridge the
pet
gap.
owner.
Yeah, bridge that gap. And the pet owners, as like, we'll do anything for our pets, for our animals, right? That's just, they're our life.
Oh, I will.
And so, yes. And it's like, they're just like sponges. They want to hear what you've got to say. Actually, I was telling my husband today about our podcast, and he was like, can you ask her, why does Kobe, we have a husky, and he's just turned a year in July. And like once a month, he just did it this morning. And that's why we were thinking about it. He will just, for like a minute and a half, just start crying and yelping just out of the blue. And we're like, does he have an upset stomach? Does he have growing pains? Like, is he having a muscle spasm? What's going on? He's like, ask her if she knows what that could be. So that's my question of the day for you as well.
I was going to ask if you had a pet, and you have a husky. Have you had a husky before?
No, this is the first time. And
Okay.
we actually rescued him as a puppy. And I was surprised that they were rescue. I don't know, I'm just like, oh, I thought these were like expensive dogs that people like bred, but there were 5 of them. He was the last one left. And so, and he was just, oh my goodness, we went there I saw him online. I'm like, I got to have him. And he's like the best ever, the best. So we have 5 animals. We have 2 dogs and 3 cats. But right now he definitely is the one taking up a lot of the attention because he's a puppy and he's a husky.
So it's, my gut response to that is he's a husky and they have a lot to say.
Yes,
and
he does.
They're very vocal. They're very active. They're generally very intelligent animals.
Yeah, he's very smart.
And they require a lot of what we call environmental enrichment. And, it's one of those things that, all things being equal, and he's 100% healthy, he's just talking, and they're very, very vocal. And one of the things that's why I asked you, had you ever had a husky before? Yeah. Because usually people that have huskies have had them before.
Okay, and, so this is nothing new to them.
So it's like, this is something that a husky owners sort of get, that they just have a lot to say.
Like he will wake up, and he doesn't do it all the time, but like it was like 3 o'clock this morning, and acts like he's in like this excruciating pain for about 30-40 seconds, and then he calms down and goes back to bed. And we're like, where'd that come from?
Well, that could be a lot of things, but one of the things is, he asleep when this happens or totally awake?
He's usually like sleeping. He's calm, at least. He's usually in his calm moments.
Okay. And when he does that, is he up, or is he laying down?
He stands up. He'll stand up.
Okay. Because I mentioned, the reason I ask, again, I'm not there, but there are some, mild epileptic type behaviors, which could be associated with that. I'm not, again, not convinced that that's what that is, but
Yeah.
he, it's one of those things that I would definitely pay attention to. And what you might do is record a couple of those events, and then share that.
Yes.
You're welcome to share it with me, but you're welcome, share it with your veterinarian.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take a look and see. But it's hard to know for sure, because
You're going to be stuck with me now.
Well, I'm happy to help any way that I can. I never want to make presumptions, but it is one of those things that when you say husky, that's a whole different twist.
He thinks he's a person. I mean, he lets himself in and out. He just thinks he needs to be right there and part of the conversation, and he'll talk. And if my husband and I are talking, he will then interject and have to talk over us.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yes. Where did this dog come from? He's hilarious. He's so funny. He cracks me up, but he's the sweetest dog. They
are one of the most entertaining breeds on the planet, for sure.
He is so funny, and he's just so beautiful. He's got the pretty blue eyes, your typical husky look, and yeah, he's gorgeous. But he's one of the best dogs. I think we've always had animals, but he's definitely.
You're gonna have to send me a picture now, okay?
Oh, I'm going to. I definitely will be doing that. He's amazing. But back to you. A couple more questions I have for you. And I could be on here forever. We're talking about animals, so like.
Me too.
Gosh, like you just can never run out of things to talk about. But, talking about, you building and leading, an award-winning hospital and just everything you've accomplished, like what lessons did those experiences really teach you about leadership and teamwork? I know we've talked about how you really want, this is something that you dove into, that you just was your calling, and be more on the leadership side of it. But what lessons, since you've been doing that, have you really learned? And I'm sure you're still learning some too. But
when I first graduated, I learned very quickly that you learn what you don't know, right? And so there's this learning curve that's pretty steep. And so that, I think that's one of the things that I want to tell young veterinarians, is to be kind to yourself, because the learning just begins when you graduate. It's just starting. And to find the right mentor is really, really critical to your success path. If you have a really good mentor, it is going to give you a step up and give you more confidence over time, and that it takes that learning curve and kind of drops it a little bit, which is fantastic. And so I think that's one lesson. And the other is that you've got to really develop your emotional intelligence and make sure that empathy and compassion are at the top of your list when you're trying to learn how to communicate with clients. I like to say that there's three ends of that leash, really. It's the pet owner, and the veterinarian, and all of those have to be in balance. People want to be heard. They want to be a part of making the decision. And that's the same for your team when you're working with your veterinary team. I had a hospital of over 25, 26 employees. And as I developed my own leadership skills over time, which took, I actually sought out business education, leadership education, executive leadership classes and courses, and really studied a lot of those things. And what I found is that there's so much joy and power in relinquishing and giving other people that opportunity to grow and to thrive and to actually there, when you have a team of people, the creativity is incredible in that space, yes. Right? And you mentioned COVID, and we had just incredible group of people that came together and said, we're going to make this work. And so there were a lot of different people that had beautiful ideas, and we put those into practice. And so I think that I like to say to people, there are people that when you're climbing the ladder, if you will, the success ladder, there are people that climb the ladder and leave everybody else behind. There are people that climb the ladder and lift other people with them. And then there are people that climb the ladder and kick people off the ladder, so it's which one do you want to be? And
right.
I think that's something that for me to be able to have the faith and confidence that my team were empowered to do the things that they did exceptionally well. It got to the point where I would just say, tell me where to go. Tell me where to go. Tell me where to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were sharing about, really lifting them up and listening to them, giving them a platform as well, so they can share how they're feeling and what they need help with. But I think, definitely a leader, no matter where you're at, right? Whatever your profession is that you get to a point, and I felt that when you shared, like, where do I need to be? When you can delegate and let them thrive and do their thing. We can learn so much from them as well. And wow, it's like 1,000 pounds off of our shoulders as the employer or the leader, to just watch, our people just thrive and know that, like, wow, this isn't all on me now, because look at them. They're actually, some of them, I'm like, wow, they're better at that than I am. I'm so glad that I was able to, delegate this responsibility to them, because now not only did I take this weight off of my shoulders, but I can just see now, they're so capable of doing that and so much more. So we really can learn from our people too.
And, I don't want you to think that this was all, easy. There were a lot of challenges along the way. I had a practice manager that stole from us financially. I had a practice manager that, was very undermining and those kinds of things. But ultimately, when I sold my practice, and I was going to work with the organization that bought my company, and I became very disenchanted, because of frankly male dominated environment, and it just wasn't what I had hoped it would be. But I say all this to say, there's going to be challenges, and this all too well. There are going to be people that don't have your best interests at heart. But those are those moments where you have to go, okay, this is not happening to me. It's happening for me. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better as a result. I'm going to be a better person, a better leader. And whatever's on the other side it's going to be better. And that's always been true. It's always been true for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, as owning your own business, your own company, it's not all butterflies and rainbows, and people do not see, the grit that's going on behind the scenes. And like you said, people taking advantage, or people just are not the, most loyal to you, or, and sometimes, you learn the hard way a lot of times. But when you do come across those that have proven themselves, and that, and vice versa, that, like, those are the ones you hold on to, right? And the ones that you just like, it's like, wow, like, just, and you want to lift them up and you want to bring them along with you, right? And it's just really picking and choosing who you who you surround yourself around. And I think it's so important, but yeah, definitely. It is not easy. I don't care who it
Right.
is or what business it is. It is not easy. And it's, that's why there's so many businesses that do fail, because it's just not for everybody, and that's okay. But yeah, the reward when you continue to, follow your dreams in your heart, and, you reach that level of like, all right, I learned a little bit more today that I wish I knew, 10, 15, 5 years ago, but it's okay. I stuck through it and here I am.
Yeah, if I could share, share some of those things broadly
Yeah,
to people, young professionals, that's what one of the things that I'd want to share is just know that you're going to get through this, and the other side is going to be even better.
that's right. And utilize those challenges to just, learn from them, and you'll become stronger. We always grow. I say it all the time. We always grow outside of our comfort zone. And, when you can learn from those opportunities or those challenges, it's just making you better every day.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I could not agree with you more. And you're actually giving me more inspiration to just keep doing what I'm doing. So I really, really appreciate all the kind words, and you're a good example of what success looks like, and just keep moving forward, because you've developed something that's very special.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. And that's what we're here for, right? To uplift and just encourage and support. So, I hope I can, I have this platform to do it for many more years to come. So we can just, really encourage that many more women to stay focused, stay true to yourself. And it's okay. Some days are going to be hard, and some days you're going to have to pause, but just get back at it the next day and just get in a different, mind frame, and you'll do amazing things. So, but thank you so much, Dr. Pam, for joining us today. This is like, I could have you on, on a monthly basis and just start doing like pet questions. And I'm sure we would have people blowing up our, our computer. I mean, it's just so amazing what you do.
I'd love to do that if you'd like to do that anytime.
Thank you. Thank you. We would love to have you back for sure. And, I'd like to wrap up our podcast with our She Decides 10. And so these are 10 quick, fun questions to get to know you a little bit more on, a personal side. Fun.
Okay.
Fun little spunky side. Okay.
All right.
Make it quick. Here we go. Are you more early mornings or late nights?
Early morning.
Early morning. All right. Coffee break or a nature walk?
Walk.
A walk. All right. Oh, you're good. You're just whipping these out. The third, team training or a client education day?
Ooh.
Uh-huh. Some of them make you think.
Client education day.
All right. All right. Yeah, that's kind of like definitely, that's up your alley for sure. Podcasts or books for inspiration?
Podcast.
Podcasts. Do you like to celebrate with friends, or do you like to recharge by yourself alone?
Recharge by myself.
I'm right there with you. I would say the same. Here we go. This is going to put you on the spot. Cats or dogs?
Both.
Oh, you're like, I can't even answer that one. I love it. All right. A long shift do you prefer, or an overnight on call?
Long shift.
Long shift. All right. More on the jewelry side, gold earrings or a minimal gold hoop?
Gold earrings.
All right. Do you like to delegate it or do it yourself?
Delegate.
I was going to say, we just come full circle, right? We just talked about that. And last but not least, spreadsheets or sticky notes?
Sticky notes.
Yes. I think I have them all over the place. Yes.
Definitely.
You did good, man. You were just like, boom, boom, boom. Some people, they're just like, oh gosh, it takes them 10 minutes to answer one. And I get it because it makes you think, But You've been doing this a long time.
That was fun. Thank you for
Yes,
that.
of course. I love to end it on, because some of our podcasts are like really heavy and some are very, some are light, but these are just a fun way to get to know you a little bit.
I might use that.
Yeah. Hey, it's fun to wrap it up with a fun twist, right? But thank you again, Dr. Pam. This has been so much fun. You're so inspirational. And I know you have just so much information that you can just educate the world with. So if you don't mind, we would love to bring you back at some point. And
I would be honored. It would be a privilege. This has been a joy, and I've so enjoyed talking with you, and it's left me just wanting to know more about you. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Like I said, we could pick your brain on the leadership side, on the veterinarian side. I mean, there's so much that you can offer. So you are definitely just an amazing, person to know and just a wealth of knowledge. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, really.